all day long, every lap. Look at Phil, look, goes off the racetrack on the left-hand side. That's the way he likes to line up his braking zone. But Fabi, in his very last run for Jim Hall, having his best run of the year. Doesn't that always happen?
You know, Villeneuve, he's so cool. Going to and from the pits with his helmet on. It was fun yesterday watching him on a bicycle, heading up for his car for practice. Fully dressed, fully ready to go, helmet strapped on. It's one way he kind of isolates himself and gets focused on the race. Let's go pit side. Another young driver is with Gary Gerald.
Another young driver from Brazil, Paul. Andre Ribeiro, maybe the happiest guy at Laguna Seca today. He won an Indy Lights race, his 4th of the season, earlier today, driving for Steve Horn in his final appearance in the Lights. Andre, you're going IndyCar racing next year. I know you're excited about the opportunity with Steve Horn.
Well, definitely. This has been a terrific year for me on Indy Lights. And now to conclude the year with a win and with announcement that we are going to IndyCar is just fantastic.
He's got charisma, he's got talent, he's going to be fun to watch, Paul. Wish you well, Andre.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And Andre Ribeiro is one of those drivers who will use the new Firestone IndyCar tires next season.
So that's a nice welcome back to IndyCar racing of Steve Horn, who engineered a couple of championships and back-to-back wins 4 years in a row at this track for Bobby Rahal. Mario Andretti, we've been watching him all day. He runs in 7th place right now. Al Unser Jr. is just behind him as Mario drives his final laps of his IndyCar career and has never let up. 54 years old. He's driven in 5 decades. And here he is, still going just as hard as he can. At the front, it remains Paul Tracy driving for Roger Penske. You know, there are a lot of souvenirs of this Arrivederci year for Mario Andretti. You want a really nice one? This is the book Andretti, and these photographs from this book by the same people that put together Rare Air for Michael Jordan have put together the visual story of Mario's life. It's a magnificent thing to own. And Scott Sharp at the edge of the track with a problem. One of our onboard cameras for the day, talking with the course marshal right there. Doesn't appear to be an obvious problem, but as you can see, looking rearward from that camera up at the top of the hill, no motive power in that machine.
And just look at the top of that picture. That's underneath the gearbox. That was white and said Bank of America at the start of the race, but there's so much oil now, it's obviously now black.
At the right there for a moment, you saw Nick Finoro flagging this race here. As we wait for Mario's last pit stop of his IndyCar career, watching the leader of the race, Paul Tracy, who on the 25th lap picked up a $9,000 prize. Now, not to him, but Bank of America celebrating their 90th anniversary, providing $9,000 for Paul Tracy to designate to the charity of his choice. And with the last stop of his career in IndyCars, here's Mario and Gary Gerald.
We watch now along with the crew. Right in front of him, his teammate Nigel Mansell has come in, and this time we see that they did get the right rear off on Mansell's car, but right now all attention focused on Mario. Paul, he wanted so desperately to be able to finish this race. He wanted to be on the podium. That may be a tough assignment, but he beats Mansell out of the pits as Mansell has stalled now. The crew is pushing the car. Mario's crew is elated. Mansell's still waiting to fire. It sputters once. There he goes.
Mario Andretti back into the fight. A rough ride until Mansell picks his finger off the button that limits the speed and can come up to full chat. Mario now driving the last laps. He's fueled for the end of the race, but the envy of many young drivers, he is still competing in the top 10. He runs in 10th place.
Good shot here of Parker Johnstone, the Acura-backed Honda. Honda say they will have a decision, hopefully by the end of October, as to who will run their engine next year. It will be a brand new design of engine. There are new engine designers have moved in to this program. Word now about the engine this year, it was cast iron. Maybe it was very heavy, maybe it didn't produce power. However, a totally new design will be used next year.
What about some of the chassis that are coming up this year? Many changes. When will they be ready for testing?
Well, Lola, the replacement for this car here, as we look over Robbie Gordon's shoulder, are bringing out a totally new design of car. Not an evolution of this particular car here. Different in every single way. John Travis, who is the chief engineer, told me one of the unique features is it has a very high bottom front wishbone they've had to design a complete new braking system for it with 2 calipers on each wheel.
On board Robbie Gordon as we come back to the battle for second place. Paul Tracy still well out in front, but Villeneuve and Fabi continue to go at each other here, once again making the pass down the pit straight.
We'll see Villeneuve under power, began to get away from him. Quick correction, that's a sign that the tires again beginning to go away, so he has to be careful. Now the last time, at the end of a run, we saw Villeneuve suddenly slow up and Fabi was at his best, although they're ready for a pit stop.
Yeah, the battle will go to the pits here very shortly, where the crew can make so much difference in a position like Teo's, where he might not be able to make it up on the course. The crew might be able to make it up in the stop. Less so with the pit speed limits that they now have, but it is still quite possible. As we get a full course yellow. Indication is a full course yellow, so that should bring both of them in. Up to the top of the hill. The reason is to get Scott Sharp's car off of a somewhat precarious position at the top of the hill. If he takes his foot off the brake, it can roll all the way to the bottom. So both of these now should take advantage of the full course yellow, and it will be a battle in the pits as the leader Paul Tracy comes in. His last stop of the year, perhaps his last stop for the Penske team.
So we know Tracy, Villeneuve, and Fabi will all make a stop. The key is, where is Al Jr. when Tracy gets back on the racetrack?
Villeneuve, Fabi both in adjacent pits.
Oh, this is good.
This could be interesting as they come out.
Villeneuve's car fell off the jacks. Oh, Fabi's is very slow. Back jack won't lift the car.
So they go to the hand jack on the back.
Oh, back jack won't lift the car.
So they go to the hand jack on the back of Fabi's car. They get the rear tires on that. But Villeneuve heads out, and Fabi is still in the pits. They're still working on the car.
No contest. Didn't get it right. So much time lost here while stationary in the pits. Jan Beekes.
Well, what happened there, Derek, as Teo Fabi gets underway, when he tried to come around the front of Villeneuve, he did not get close enough to the pit wall. They couldn't get the air jack to it. They couldn't get the car in the air. So when Derek said, hey, looks like Villeneuve's not in the air, at that stage, they hadn't even started working on Fabi's car. He lost a ton of time here. Good thing it's a full course yellow.
The 5 car, Raoul Boisel, also made his stop there, running in 5th place. His last drive for the Dick Simon team. You know, Simon is so good at getting publicity for his drivers. And we'll wait now to see who he'll announce for next year, but you can bet there'll be a lot of excitement in that. We're back at the Toyota Grand Prix of Monterey, featuring the Bank of America 300 at Laguna Seca Raceway. 84 laps scheduled, 65 are complete, a full course yellow. And the tires are a very serious situation here. Look at all those little dots on the racetrack, and as we take a look at that. Look at that as they kick rubber up in the air. Is that off the tire or off the track?
The order of the day. Look at the front wing on Al Jr.'s car. Look at that right front wing carrying a lot of that rubber right there, the right front wing. That is something everybody has to contend with.
With the stops complete under yellow, they line up not necessarily behind the pace car, but take a look. There's the top 6 Penske team, 1, 2, and 3. Paul Tracy leading the race, followed by Alonso Jr. and Fittipaldi, then Villeneuve, then Boisel, and Teo Fabi losing time on that last stop, dropping back into 6th place. And Team Penske coming into this race, now the team, not the individual, but the combination of wins of Tracy, Fittipaldi, and Unser Jr. this year, with 11 wins coming to the track here today, matching the record of STP Granatelli team in '69 and the Vels Parnelli team of 1970. So if they can finish the way they're lined up now, then Roger Penske will have the most wins for a team in a modern era.
Great shot of across the top of the corkscrew and then disappear out of sight, almost straight down. Line like there, Fernandez there, Mario at the back of this group. But we are about to have a good shootout here, because Al Jr. is in a position to have a legitimate fight against his teammate to get the record that he said the opportunity only comes along once in a lifetime sometimes.
And as Jan Beekes mentioned at the top of the show, Alonso Jr. really wants a win out of this race, despite the fact that he has the championship well in hand and doesn't truly need the risk. The bottom line is, little Al is a racer.
So Mansell gets to lead the field. However, having had 2 very bad pit stops, he's currently running in 10th place. There's Tracy, there's Unser Jr., there's Fittipaldi. 2 cars between Unser Jr. and Paul Tracy. Villeneuve is in a challenging position, though, right there to try and battle against Emerson.
Remembering that Villeneuve had problems on one of his stops as they were coming out of the pits, brushing his refueling man, Jim Wilson. There is Jacques Villeneuve. Now, they are not lined up in order relative behind the pace car. That is, there are some cars intervening in the start of the order of the field. So there is the 12 car, Jacques Villeneuve. Remembering on that stop, they took a little extra time in the refuel, and in doing that, brushed the refueler. Here it is. As he came out of the pits, Jim Wilson, the refueler, had to dance away from the car. Fortunately, Wilson not injured there, but it was a very tense moment. If he'd been forward maybe by another half of an inch, he might have gotten yanked under that wheel as it spun, and that could have been disastrous.
And I think his right foot may have got trapped underneath that left rear tire.
The pace picks up now as they come through the final turn leading to the pit straight, and the green flag flies ahead. Nicky Finaro has it, and here we go. A sprint to the end of the season. Some cars to overcome for the leaders as they come up through the field.
Al Jr. tried to go down inside Dobson, then got blocked by Dobson on the outside.
Al Unser Jr. falls back into line. Behind him, Fittipaldi.
You got to be so careful in the traffic. Emerson sits back and waits and watches.
Then Villeneuve, then Bozell. As at the front, Paul Tracy trying to handle up Nigel Mansell. The first 4 positions still not necessarily in total contact.
Bozell is there behind Villeneuve, so the 2 Penske's are still caught behind 3 cars they need to put a lap on. Dobson, Willie T. Ribbs, and Montermini.
Coming up the hill, the 2 Penske cars, second and third, then Villeneuve, then Fabi, then Bozell.
Oh, Al Jr. down the inside maybe. Barely enough room. No, doesn't try it, keep it safe. Downhill run.
Sweeping down the corkscrew now. Being careful at this point. Al Unser Jr. does not want to get into contest in any dangerous areas. He's been off this course once today, and it cost him dearly. It may have cost him the win.
Remember, Tracy does not have clear road ahead of him either. Mansell is the one that's leading the field, and Tracy just passes Mansell. Just goes ahead of Mansell into turn 1. Now he's got clear sailing.
So Tracy, no obstructions ahead. Villeneuve coming way to the outside, washing the back end for a second as he chases Fittipaldi. Now he tries to get a nose inside of Fittipaldi. There's the leader, Paul Tracy. He sweeps past. There comes Mansell, not involved in this fight. On Termini, now here comes the rest of the battle. They're second, third, fourth, and fifth.
Out in the dirt and the gravel and the rubber that's on the outside of the racetrack, Al Jr. had to force his way past Willie T. Ribbs, and here comes Emerson.
Fittipaldi around Ribbs. Jack drops in behind him, as does Bozell. Fabi coming up behind Bozell now as they climb the hill. Boy, look at Villeneuve all the way off the edge of the course to come around Willie T.
Hold your breath when this man